Hello folks, today I'm going to talk about some of the basic 2D animation features of VARTISTE. So we'll start with some basic frame by frame animation. Just use this default canvas here. So we've got this top layer selected and we're going to get the timeline shelf and animation shelf and just bring it right over here so it's easy to access. And we're going to grab a pencil so we have something to draw with. You can see we start at frame 1 at a 1 because we've got no frames on our layer over here. So we'll just start by drawing a, whoops, that's a little big. And start by drawing a stick figure. And we'll make him walk. So now we've got one frame and we can add another frame. Oh, let's turn on onion skinning. Now we can see where the last frame was. And now we can easily add another frame. Where we can use the onion skin to see where the last frame was and try and draw something that kind of looks like it's in line. We can use the joystick to go from frame to frame. And let's add another frame. We can see both the previous frame and the next frame with this. So let's add another frame in line here. Kind of where everything is together. I'm not really covering great 2D animation skills here. You'll have to go someplace else to learn how to do that. But this should get you the tools to do it in VARTISTE. So let's see. And you can see back and forth on the joystick. We can cycle between frames. And it kind of looks like something like an animation. All right, let's add another frame. You can see we've got our running frame count here. We've got 4 out of 4 frames. In parentheses here is the overall frame count. So if we go to the next frame, you'll see our current layer frame loops back, but this overall counter just keeps going up and up and up. This is because we can have a different number of frames for different layers, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's go back up all the way here to frame number 4, and let's see, it's empty, so we're going to draw the next phase of this, which is kind of coming back up to, here we go. And so let's see. Start at 1, 2, 3, and he's coming back. And that kind of looks like an animation. Let's just see how it goes. Yeah, you can see we're playing it and it's animated. Obviously, if you want to spend more time, you can add more detail. But this will be good enough for now. That gets you the that shows you how to use the onion skin mode and the frame by frame animation features. So let's just add another layer on top. That's one way to animate using VARTISTE. Another way is we can just create a whole bunch of frames up front. Let's see, so let's just keep adding frames. Let's get maybe 8 frames. And if we play it and we start drawing, you can see that our drawing is now animated. This works with the pencil or with the pointer. Let's see. Can add some action lines. Now it kind of looks like our stick figure is running a little bit. We can add some color in here. Maybe there's a cloud rolling on by. To make this a little bigger, we'll just keep rolling along like that. Well, it doesn't really look like a cloud. It doesn't look like much, but you get the picture. This can be a lot of fun. If you draw fast, you get these long lines. Go slow, get these nice slow. And this works with different brushes. You can add the paintbrush. You can see it comes in and out based on how far I'm pressing. So you can get some cool effects with this. Another way to animate with VARTISTE is to draw just one thing. Let's just draw a smiley face. And then you can duplicate the frames. Let's stop this for a second. So we've got one frame. We've got 2 frames with the same content, 3 frames, 4 frames, 5 frames, 6 frames. Let's go to 8 frames again. And we can use these nudge tools to make it all wobbly. So it's the same principle as before. Any changes you make while it's playing will apply to the current frame. So now that we've got it wobbly, we can add some sparkles on top. Still with the animation. We can, now that we've got a basic animation set up on this layer, we can pause it and see the onion skin. We could go into frame by frame mode if we wanted to. And you can see how that all fits together. And you notice that different layers can have different number of frames. What happens is the universal frame counter just keeps running, and each independent layer just loops over and over and over again. Some layers don't have any frames at all, and they just stay static. And we can still draw on them. Let's add maybe a nice sky for a background. Big brush. And you can see no animation. So layers are really helpful for animating. You can add as many of them as your computer can handle. They can all have different number of frames, and they'll run independently. Some other useful tools, you can jump back to the beginning. You can add a frame before or after, duplicate before or after, go to next frame or previous frame. You can also change the frame rate. Right now the default is 10 frames per second, but if you've got something you want to look a little smoother, here's 24 frames per second. And this affects the rate that the drawing happens. So now this is going really fast. So if I do this really slow, now it's going at a much higher frame rate, though it's still going at the speed that I'm drawing. Our stick figure is going really fast over there. We can change this now that we've made some changes to the drawing. We can drop it down even slower to, say, 8 frames per second. And you could get some cool effects. You can see the long lines and short dots by changing the frame rate and drawing while it's playing. So that's the basic features. You've got some extra things like deleting the frame. Should be self-explanatory. Right layer around. Yeah, so you can delete the frame. Drops down to 7. Delete this frame, now it drops down to 6. And there's a record button, so if you can click start, and now it'll be recording the canvas here. And when you click stop, it'll download a movie file for you. There's some experimental animation tools down here on the experimental tools shelf. Oops, didn't mean to do that. You've got the GIF export. You can export certain frames as a GIF. You can record it as a movie file or export them just as plain PNGs. Let's see, other things. Your modes still apply. Let's see, that changes the colors and stuff. Your fill tool will still work, so you can change the color for different frames. Let's add a low opacity. Now our stick figure has a green glowing effect. Yeah, so you can combine these tools for lots of cool different animation features. And that's the basic animation tutorial with VARTISTE.